Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Kelly Igorova, and we'd like to start by wishing you a warm congratulations for your admission to Northeastern University. We look forward to welcoming you all to campus in the fall. I'm joined today by members of the admissions team, student services, and excitingly, many of our current student ambassadors who are individuals that are enrolled and currently working through their degree in your programs. A few introductory notes before we begin. As I mentioned, there are current students and staff in today's session. The information that will be provided in today's webinar is geared toward both our Masters of Science and our PhD students. The webinar will focus on the Boston campus with some information that may be applicable to those attending Seattle and Silicon Valley. But students who will be attending the Information Systems program in our West Coast campus should look for more information from your student services team in the respective campuses. And that information will be sent either prior to your arrival or during your welcome week. Again, focus on Boston campus, but we welcome all admitted students to listen in. And with that, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Laura Adrian, who is a current student services advisor, and she will talk to you about coming to Boston.
So again, this is relevant to the students who are coming to Boston, but any of you who are joining us at our satellite campuses are welcome to learn about Boston too. So in Boston, we have 4 distinct seasons. This is a shot in our public garden during the summertime. Boston is surrounded by the ocean and the rivers. This is an aerial view of Boston with the Charles River and the Atlantic Ocean Harbor. It has a great network of public transportation in the Boston area and throughout the New England region. As you can see, we are very close to New York City, to Montreal, to Portland, Maine, and fairly close to Washington, D.C. And Dunkin' Donuts is a regional and a cultural staple here. It is a coffee shop that lots of locals like to go to in the morning to get their coffee and to get a donut, a muffin, or a bagel. So a little bit about the climate in Boston. As I mentioned, we have 4 distinct seasons here. Our summers are warm and humid with occasional rains. So when you all arrive here in August, you'll all be arriving towards the end of our summer. Fall is pleasant with beautiful multicolored foliage. It starts to get a little bit cooler out here. Winter is very cold and stormy with lots of snow. So in the beginning of winter, some snow will start to fall. This is a picture of our Quincy Market here with a little bit of snow cover, and it starts to appear beautiful. As the winter goes on, there is more snow. This is a shot from last winter. As you can see, these 2 individuals here are trying to cross a street in Boston with a snowbank. And you get used to it and you think, this isn't so bad. And it continues to snow. This is a car buried by a snowbank. Again, this is from last winter. And after crossing the snowbanks and embarking your cars, you think, this is it. This is absolutely the most amount of snow I'll see. Nope. It continues to snow. So again, this is from last winter. This is a man clearing his sidewalk in a Boston neighborhood. As you can see, the snowbank is much taller than him. So in order to prepare for the winters in Boston, it's very important to dress appropriately. So you'll need a hat, you need a scarf, you need a very heavy winter coat, you need mittens or gloves, you need a sweatshirt, you need some kind of warm pants and boots. Boots are very important here because during the winter in Boston, it gets cold, the cars churn up the snow, and if you're walking to and from campus, sneakers are going to get soaked. So if you're an international student coming into Boston, the OGS does run a trip to the outlets or the area shopping malls around here so that you can come and purchase these items. And there are also a lot of other stores in the Boston area. So if you're interested in that, reach out to OGS. If you're a domestic student and you're coming from a warmer climate, you can also reach out to some resources on campus to figure out where you should purchase these items. But after the winter and the end of the semester, our springs are sunny and bright. And this again is a shot from our Boston Commons, and the tulips grow and it's quite beautiful again. So a little bit about Boston culture. So this is all of Boston's sports teams here. Boston was originally inhabited by Native Americans and was founded by English settlers in 1630. It is the birthplace of the American Revolution, so there's quite a lot of history here in Boston about the start of the United States and the split from the British monarchy. It's home of the best sports teams. Boston is very proud of our sports teams, so that first symbol up top on the head is the Boston Patriots, the football team, our American football team. The B, that black symbol with the yellow, is the Bruins, the hockey team. The body of the man is the Boston Celtics, our basketball team. His shoes are the Red Sox, our baseball team, and his cane has the symbol of the Boston Revolution, our soccer team. So Boston loves its sports teams. We're a very proud town of that. Boston is also quite a large immigrant city, so we have immigrants from all over the world. Some of the biggest communities that we have here in the city of Boston are Irish, Italian, West Indian, Haitian, Dominican, Salvadoran, Colombian, Chinese, Vietnamese, and South Asian communities, all here within the city limits. Bostonians are known as being stubborn but wicked loyal. And when you come here, you'll learn that wicked doesn't mean evil or anything like that. We use it instead of using very. So Bostonians are very loyal, or as you'll learn in our colloquialism, we're wicked loyal. These are just some images from around Boston. So every Christmas time, Nova Scotia, a province in Canada, sends us a Christmas tree. There's history to that, so I'd encourage you all to go to the tree lighting festival in Boston in December to find out why Canada sends us a Christmas tree every year. This is a shot of Beacon Hill, one of the old historic neighborhoods in Boston. It's beautiful to walk up. This is a shot of the Dragon Boat Festival, a Chinese American heritage festival held every year on the Charles River in June. And if you look at that golden dome in the background, that's the Massachusetts State House. That's where our government sits for the state of Massachusetts. This is a shot from the Columbus Day Parade, which is held every October in the North End in Boston, another neighborhood in Boston with a large Italian community. This is a shot from the Carnival, which is held in the Dorchester neighborhood of Boston every August. So that celebrates the Caribbean heritage of Boston. This is a shot of the duckling statues, which are in the Boston Common. These ducklings are always dressed up for the seasons for various events and parades throughout the city, throughout the year. So I'd encourage you, when you get here, to go and find these ducklings and see if they're dressed up. This is a shot from one of Boston's most popular and favorite events. So it's a shot of the Boston Marathon, which is held every April during Patriots Day. And Patriots Day is a holiday that's only specific to Massachusetts. It's not celebrated in the rest of the country. So it's a very Boston-specific festival. The marathon starts about 26 miles outside of Boston and runs right through downtown. It's a really fun day. And last but not least, St. Patrick's Day is a very, very fun festival here in Boston in the springtime in March, and everybody celebrates that here as well. So a little bit about Boston and the industries that surround Boston. So of course, it's known for education. So this map is of Boston and the surrounding areas. As you can see, there are quite a few universities and colleges here in the area. So there's quite a few professors, students, collaborators, researchers, all throughout the Boston area. It's also known for health services. Boston Children's Hospital was named the top hospital for the 5th year running in the United States. And there are quite a few other hospital and health services that are in the top tier of the country. And also is known for its finance industry. In downtown Boston, we have quite a few financial services that exist. Tech companies are here. So this is another map of Boston and the surrounding areas. And this is current as of 2018. So there were over 1,563 startups in the Boston area and surrounding areas. So as you can see, there are quite a few companies, not just in Boston, but in the surrounding areas. And like I said before, we do have a fairly good public transportation system. So a lot of these areas can be reached by our subway lines, by our bus lines, by our commuter rail, which are heavy rail lines, or by car lines. As you can see, a lot of them are along different highway corridors here. And of course, tourism. Tourism is another large industry here in Boston. This is a photo of our duck boats going by the Zakim Bridge down on the Cambridge-Boston line. Publishing is also another huge industry here. As I said before, there's a lot of colleges and universities here that are publishing a lot of books, so there are a lot of local publishing shops to help them out. And that's just a little bit about Boston for those of you who are coming here to our main campus to get you excited about that. And now I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Juham.
Hi, folks. My name is Stephanie. I'm also a student services advisor here on the team. I'm here to give you a little bit of guidance on how to prepare for grad school and how grad school is a little different from what you're used to in undergrad. So it is an exciting time. Not only is there a lot of logistical preparation you have to do, but there's also some mental preparation. So you definitely want to be prepared for a heavier workload in grad school. Here, 8 semester hours is considered full-time. As an undergraduate, you probably took way more than 8 credits per semester, but here 8 credits is already considered plenty. We don't really recommend registering for more than 8 credits, which is 2 courses, especially in your first semester when you're not yet aware of the workload. And that said, not only is the workload a little heavier, the GPA that we require for you to be in good academic standing is a little higher than what some of you are used to in undergrad. So we do require a 3.0 GPA, which translates to a solid B average. Another thing that you should start to think about as you start your grad school career is, especially if you're a master's student, whether you want to focus your studies on a research track or a professional track. For many of our degree programs, you can either finish your MS by only taking coursework, or you could also decide to pursue an MS thesis, which puts you on the research track and is especially useful if you are considering entering a PhD program later. You're going to have a lot of resources on campus to help you through this. You will have many different types of advisors, so it's good to be able to identify who to go to for each type of question that you might have. So you will have a faculty member who is your advisor for your degree program or your concentration. If you have questions about the content of the courses that you're going to take and questions about the discipline in general, your faculty advisor is the person that is going to be able to help you with that. You'll also have an academic advisor here on the student services team. We are here to help you with course registration issues and general questions about the overall curriculum. If you are interested in doing a co-op, you will also have a dedicated co-op advisor. And finally, if you're a PhD student or you are a research track master student, on top of all that, you will have a research advisor. So all this information and more is on the Student Services website. We encourage you to visit it. It is under our new student and orientation section on the Student Services website. I do encourage you to attend orientation as well, where you will be able to meet your faculty advisors and your academic advisors. And after orientation, again, this is a lot of new information, we'll be sending out the presentations that we do. So if there was anything that you missed, you can be sure to review the materials from orientation. Okay. Another step in preparing for your time here at Northeastern is setting up your all-important MyNortheastern account. This account is going to give you access to a lot of critical services. So I think a lot of you probably have already set this up, but if you haven't, the link to go to is my.northeastern.edu. If you haven't set it up, you have to click this link that says request access. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory. You accept the terms. You will have to enter in an ID number. So if you already have status here in the United States and you have a social security number, you can enter that. Or if you're international, you'll have an international ID number, which is at the bottom of your admissions letter. Okay, so you have to choose a password, and basically the rest is self-explanatory as you go through the process. One thing I will mention is they will ask you for a zip code. If you live here in the US, put in your home zip code. If you're international, you just put in the zip code of Northeastern University, which is 02115. If you are struggling with this process, if there is something with the account that doesn't seem to be working, shoot an email to the IT help desk. The email is help@northeastern.edu. Okay, so what does this website give you access to? So on here, you'll be able to view your bills. You'll be able to register for courses and view available courses. And the website also has links to a lot of other resources on campus. Everything from, housing and dining to tutoring to the writing center. So you can find all that information on your MyNortheastern site. You'll also use this website to access Blackboard. So that's a website that a lot of professors use to post assignments and readings. So you can also access that through MyNortheastern. Okay.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. So there are important dates for you to know as you're coming to campus. First is your program-specific orientation. And this is when you will have an opportunity to meet with your student services academic advisor and also with your academic point of contact, which is generally the department head or the program director. And here you can see a list of the confirmed program-specific orientations. Bioengineering and chemical engineering are still to be confirmed. Information systems for all campuses is also still to be confirmed. For Seattle and Silicon Valley, you will receive communication from your respective academic coordinators in the West Coast campus. And for Boston Information System students, look for an email to your personal or Husky email address confirming the date once we have it solidified. For all others, you can see your program-specific orientations listed here. Mechanical and industrial engineering students will need to register for your session, and that registration link will be sent to you via email. All others, you don't need to register, so just attend once we have the times and locations sent to you. If you are an international student joining Northeastern this fall, you will need to attend the Office of Global Services orientation. This is a mandatory orientation and one that you cannot miss, or you risk cancellation of your SAVIS record. So please, please, please be sure to attend one of these orientations as best accommodates your calendar. If you are a PhD student, we have a new PhD network, which is an opportunity for the PhD students to learn about various funding and travel opportunities for our PhD students. And the PhD network will host a PhD only orientation on September 4th. And finally, we have a mandatory general orientation September 13th and September 14th. Please attend the orientation that fits best for your schedule. For many of you, we heard that there was a class that ended at 4:30 on September 13th. So from the first email that was sent about general orientation, we've since shifted the time by 30 minutes to accommodate your class schedule, and we hope that you're able to join. You'll notice that there is an Eventbrite registration link in the email. It's the same link for both orientations, and the date and time is simply an extension from one orientation to the other. Please don't worry, just register and attend the orientation that works best for you. This is simply so that we can scan you in and to make sure that you're here on campus and that you're attending your classes, and that we are able to ensure that you don't get a hold on your record. So it's important that you attend the general orientation or contact a member of the admissions team with any extenuating circumstances that don't allow you to attend one of these orientations. The program-specific orientations are mandatory. For some students, you may have a visa delay or a personal circumstance that does not allow you to get to campus on time. A few notes on this: if you plan to arrive to campus after September 5th and you are an international student, please contact the admissions team so that we may alert your academic point of contact and to complete a late arrival letter for you to present when you cross the United States borders. If you're not able to attend your program-specific orientation, you will need to be in contact with your student services advisor to ensure that you have all of the necessary information to start your program. Course registration. Many of our programs request that students do not register for courses until new student orientation. I see many questions on the chat box about registration. Please don't worry if you have not received communication from your department or from the admissions team about course registration. The departments are working to ensure that all students are able to take the courses that best fit their professional and research interests, and to ensure that you are able to enroll before the start of classes, very likely at your program-specific orientation. If registration is open for you at this time, and that information is on the new student orientation info and orientation page that Stephanie mentioned, you can contact your student services advisor with any questions about course eligibility, prerequisites, and if there's a class that you need to take and you have a question on it, please don't hesitate to contact a member of the team who is your student services advisor. Your academic advisors are listed here, and we have a large number of them in the room today. So with me is Haley Lyons, who takes care of the Computer Systems Engineering program and Information Systems for all campuses. Stephanie Duham, who you heard from earlier, covers our Mechanical and Industrial Engineering department, including data analytics and operations research. Laura Adrian, who gave you the wonderful welcome to Boston, has the Energy Systems and Engineering Management programs. And Natalie Russo is the newest member of our team, and we're so excited to welcome her. And Natalie will cover Computer Systems Engineering, Internet of Things concentration, Electrical and Computer Engineering, and Telecommunication Networks. Matt Podersky and Allison Jacobs are also members of the team. Allison is the director and will cover any of the PhD interdisciplinary studies and network science students. And Matthew takes care of bioengineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering, environmental engineering, engineering and public policy, and sustainable building systems. The latter two fall under our civil and environmental engineering department. So please do not hesitate to contact a member of the student services team if you have any questions about course registration or coming to Boston. And with that, I am excited to turn the mic over to Luke Troop, who is a current student ambassador. Luke is a triple Husky here, meaning that he has completed his undergrad, master's, and is now in his PhD, all from Northeastern University. Luke, welcome.
Thanks, Kelly. Congratulations to everybody who's on this webinar and coming to Northeastern. One of the big things I'm sure that you're thinking about right now is housing, and given the timing of your program-specific orientations and when classes actually start and when your leases might be starting, I'm sure that's something that you're thinking a lot about. So give you a quick overview of what we've got available. On campus housing for our graduate students is very, very, very limited. So the majority of you will be living off campus. For the temporary accommodations in between when you land and when you actually get to move into your permanent accommodations, your best bet is to look into something like an Airbnb, maybe sublet an apartment from somebody who's not around during that time frame, or even just get a local hotel just to cover those few days in between when you can get into your permanent accommodations. To give you a sense of kind of costs, if you're not familiar with it, there's different areas kind of right around campus, and they can range depending pretty significantly. They can range depending on what you're looking for and how many roommates you want to live with. So here's a little quick breakdown. I know that's a lot of numbers to look at, but you can also find that on our off-campus services website. They have a great resource for a great database that you can look at for things that are available that are affiliated through Northeastern, but then also some other resources to look at that's external. One thing to make sure that you are paying attention to is what's in your lease. It's very vital for you to know what you're covered under and what it's stated. Every landlord and every department and every property is going to look a little different. So you need to make sure you're understanding if all of your utilities are included in your rent costs. So that means your heat or your hot water or your electricity. When you get a price, what's included in that? You need to be asking those questions. You also need to know what their policies are for move in and move out dates. Do you need to give 30 days notice or do you need to give 60 days notice? Some places require different things. So just because you see a friend's lease doesn't mean it's the same as anybody else's. Another thing that you want to consider if you're going to have a car in Boston, make sure that you're looking at where you can park. As you saw earlier, it can snow here. So if you want to consider street parking, some places you can get a sticker for your car if you have a car and you can get free street parking, but it's all going to depend on your zip code and where you can live. Sometimes you need to pay extra for an off-street parking spot. So you also need to take that into consideration. And another thing that a lot of people like to consider in choosing a place is whether they have laundry included in their building or in their unit, or if they have to go to the laundromat, or how they want to wash their clothes. So those are just some things that we encounter a lot with talking and helping with students get new apartments and things like that. So make sure you know what's in your lease. As I just mentioned a little earlier, be sure to check out the off-campus services of the housing website. Because of the database, they also have a lot of different guides on there. In terms of different neighborhoods, they outline things in terms of what's safe or what areas you should avoid and other things that are around those locations. We also have a couple WhatsApp groups that we've started just for College of Engineering students. I know a lot of you are probably in some of those. We've got another one. We will send out the contact information, but if you're not already plugged in, there's also a lot of Facebook groups that are really good with a lot of things that are available, but that's university-wide. So our WhatsApp groups that we have are College of Engineering, but these are university-wide, and there's tons of postings on there right now, and you might be able to even find some stuff for some temporary accommodations through that. And then other general places to look if you're still having a hard time finding places is Craigslist and then also Zillow.
Thank you so much, Luke. And for those of you who will be flying into Boston, you may be wondering, how do I get to campus once I'm here? The best and easiest way is to take The Silver Line is a free shuttle bus from the airport to South Station. And from South Station, you can take the Red Line to Downtown Crossing, switch over to the Orange Line, and take it to Ruggles Station. And at Ruggles, you will be at Northeastern University, right in the heart of campus. There's also a bus that can transport you around Boston, and the Northeastern station is called Ruggles at Huntington Avenue. We have two main lines that connect the students to campus, and the Orange Line, the primary stop is the Ruggles stop, although we do have a few other stops that are close to campus. And the Green Line is a stop called Northeastern Stop, and that you will have to take the E train toward Heath Street. Please do not take another one of the trains. It will not take you to campus. The Green Line has 4 or 5 branches, and only the E train comes to Northeastern. The Red Line is a primary transit line that runs through the heart of downtown. And from the Red Line, you can access the Green Line and the Orange Line to get to campus. Students may also opt to drive to campus, especially if you have a lot of bags and luggage with you. We recommend taking an Uber or a Lyft, both which are available by downloading the app on your phone. If you are driving to campus from around the United States and bringing a personal car, you will need to get an NU parking permit, which you can acquire by visiting the Northeastern parking website or through your MyNortheastern account. I'm going to hand the mic over to Stephanie, who will talk to you a little bit about immunizations, health insurance, and student financial services before we move on to our Q&A.
Hi. So about immunizations, you've probably already received some communication around this. You do need to fill out a health report, which we've linked to here, the PDF. Basically, it is Massachusetts law that you provide proof of immunization and be immunized while attending university. So that is something that you need to turn into the university in order to stay enrolled in classes. For the exact requirements, I've included a link to the health website. Either way, whether you turn it in or not, you'll receive an email stating that the health report is complete and you're all set, or that something is missing and that you need to turn in further documentation. If something is missing, registration hold will be placed on your account later on in the semester. I've included here the email address of the University Health and Counseling Center, which administers this process. Okay, so in terms of what you have to show, I've listed out the various requirements. If you are not able to get this report filled out in your home country, if you're international, you are able to come to the US and once you're here, obtain vaccines here in the United States. So even though the form asks you to turn it in 1 month before the start of classes, rest assured you will have a chance once arriving here to get your vaccines. Okay. You also must have health insurance. All students are automatically enrolled in and billed for the Northeastern University Student Health Plan, NU-SHIP. If you do already have health insurance through another provider here in the United States, you can request to waive the plan. Now, the way that you do that is you log into your MyNortheastern account and you submit a request to waive the health insurance. And that has to be done by September 26th. If you are curious about what the Northeastern University Student Health Plan offers, you can visit the NU-SHIP website for a full summary of benefits and for a guide to understanding those benefits. Okay, so some frequently asked questions. If you already carry health insurance, and the health insurance is within the United States, you might be eligible for a waiver. Again, you have to log in and file that waiver by September 26th. If you're an international student and you have health insurance abroad, but the company that is carrying the health insurance is operated outside the United States, that is not going to be able to be used in terms of the waiver. And then again, if you have any questions about this waiver process, you can contact the NUSHIP team at nushp@northeastern.edu. Here's a sample of a bill that you might see. So Student Financial Services will bill you for the semester. I've included a link here to frequently asked questions about billing in terms of how do I view my bill, when will I be billed, and what is included. Answers to all those questions are included on that website. If you have a specific question about your bill, you can reach out to Student Financial Services. That's sfs@northeastern.edu. Their phone number and location is also listed here.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And with that, we're going to move over to the Q&A portion of the website. I'd like to first address one of the common questions that has been appearing through the chat box, and that is completion of your admissions file versus confirmation emails from various departments on campus. So it varies depending on who is sending the email on campus. Here in the admissions team, we work to make sure that your admissions file is complete before you begin your program, which means that we have received all of your official test scores. Those are required before you can begin your program. And the letters of recommendation, application fee, etc., that is something that must be received before we can even deem you admissible to the university. The one part of your admissions file that you will need to complete in your first semester, that means through December, is your official transcripts and your proof of degree conferral. This is a document that you can either mail to the university by following the instructions on the email, or you can bring them with you when you come to campus and present them here in 130 Snell Engineering. So please do not worry if you have received an email from the admissions department that says your file is incomplete and we still need to receive your official transcripts. That's okay. You have through your first semester to do so. And this will ultimately be required in order to clear you for graduation. So if we do not receive your official transcripts, your student services advisors cannot clear you for graduation. So please be sure to bring those with you to campus when you come in the fall. For students in Seattle and Silicon Valley, you can bring your official transcripts to the West Coast campuses with you. Don't feel like you need to send them to Boston. The advisors in the West Coast campus would be happy to update your file for you. Next is that you may be receiving emails from many departments across campus. That means the University Health and Counseling Service has sent you emails about your immunization record. They may or may not send an email confirming that they have received your immunization record. They do process all of the immunizations for undergrad and graduate students here on campus, but I do believe that they update your MyNortheastern account, confirming that they've received your immunization record. Please contact them directly with any questions that you have regarding health insurance and your immunization record. A member of the University Health and Counseling Service will also be attending the general orientation on September 13th and 14th, and they would be happy to address many questions that you have regarding NUSHIP and your immunization forms. The same is true for Student Financial Services. Many of you have received information from Student Financial Services about the new release that students must sign about financial security. You have also received information about your bill and about any other holds that might be on your record for financial services. that you will need to contact the Student Financial Services Department directly. We would love to help you here in admissions and on the student services team, but oftentimes we simply don't have access to the necessary information, and we will often direct you there anyways. So it's easier to contact the respective departments directly. And with that, I'm going to open the floor up to our panelists to answer some of the questions, and also going to invite Kavita Iyer onto the line, who is a student ambassador in the chemical engineering program.
Yes,
Kavita.
like for different, okay, I'll say that for same temperature also, they take different,
Oh, I think we've lost the line with Kavita. But that's okay. We can answer some questions with Luke and with our student services team. So one of the common questions that we receive is, what are all of the terminologies that are used at the graduate level? And Haley would be happy to answer that for you. Haley, students receive information about degrees, departments, programs, concentration, majors. Can you break out some of those terms and just let us know what each of those are?
Sure. So from the College of Engineering, you will hear us ask you questions when you come in. Oh, what's your department or what's your program? So it's definitely good to know what we're referring to. So when we say your degree, we are talking about the bachelor's degree, your master's degree, or your PhD. So those are the degrees. And then for the departments, each of your programs fall under a department. So for me, I am the student services advisor for information systems and computer systems engineering. So those are the programs, and they fall into the multidisciplinary unit department. Or for example, MIE has a lot of different programs in addition to concentrations. And so each of those programs all also fall into the department of MIE. So it's definitely confusing. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We're more than happy to clarify any terms that you might not understand. And then in addition to the confusing degree and department and program, there's also concentration. So that would be, for example, computer systems engineering has 2 different concentrations, and they're really 2 different programs. So just make sure that you're aware of the concentration that you have been admitted to, and then which department that falls under. I promise once you figure out what the words mean, it will help you throughout your time here. And again, if you have any questions, make sure that you're contacting your student services advisor. So if you are an IS student, you would contact me. If you are a civil student, you would contact Matt, and so on and so forth. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Thank you, Haley. And Rohan Naik, who has been working in the background here, answering the chat box alongside Nivetha, is another one of our student ambassadors. And Rohan, can you explain what the term office hours means? Does that mean that students can visit their faculty members, or does that mean that the faculty member is in a do not disturb mode?
Okay. Hey, hi. Good morning, Kelly and team, and good evening to all the friends from across the globe. So Kelly, quick question for you. What did you what was the last part you mentioned? I think I missed it out somehow.
Oh, sure. So students get confused about what the term office hours means. If it means they can go.
Oh,
faculty
sure.
members or not.
Perfect. I can take this up. So just to give you kind of background, how does it all work out? It's something like, each course, the faculty has its own teaching assistants. Those are the students who would help us with the assignments that we have and help us answer our questions if we find some difficulty in working out those assignments. So in that case, if the teaching assistants also are not in a position to answer our questions, that is the time when you can go ahead and talk directly to the faculty. And the office hours basically are like kind of, you get a one-to-one interact you get to have a one-to-one interaction with the faculty, talk to him if you are facing some issues, coping up with the assignment, or understanding a specific concept, or you wish to discuss a project out of your syllabus or something of that sort. Office hours are the time when you can go ahead and have a one-to-one conversation with your faculty. Yeah,
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rohan.
no
And
problem.
another question that we have, Stephanie, maybe you can explain here, is the difference between the academic point of contact listed on the decision letter versus a student services advisor.
Sure. So your academic point of contact is actually your faculty advisor that's listed on your admissions letter. So again, if you have questions about that discipline, right? So say you were admitted into industrial engineering, and you have questions about the field, about what courses are best for the kind of career that you eventually want. Your faculty advisor, the academic point of contact, is the best person to speak with about that. And if you're looking at certain courses and you're wondering about the content, like if this is going to, include or introduce you to certain skills that you need for the career that you want, again, that is your faculty advisor who would be able to help you with that. On the student services team, we help you mostly with course registration issues. So if after talking to your faculty advisor, you know that you want to take a certain course and you try to register for the course through MyNortheastern and it's just not working, you're not able to add the course for some reason, that's the time when you would contact us. We can help you figure out why the course is not being added to your schedule, if there's some type of an error, if there's a prerequisite that perhaps you haven't taken yet. So we can help you with those types of things, as well as general questions about, about the curriculum. So for instance, for master's students, you guys need 32 semester hours in order to graduate. If you have questions about how many core classes you need versus how many elective classes, we're happy to help you with questions about the overall curriculum.
Excellent, thank you. There's also some questions here on student employment, which I am happy to address. Student employment has two tracks. The first is federal work study, and this is principally for our domestic students who qualify for federal work study. And some jobs on campus are only listed for work study students. So students who do not qualify cannot apply to the position. Then we have a general employment, and a general employment is open to all students, both domestic and international. You must make sure that your visa type allows you to work. So for example, some students joining today's webinar may be on a type of visa that only allows you to study part-time here at the university. You may not be eligible to also hold a job on campus. Many students on this webinar will be entering on an F1 visa. Students on an F1 visa are eligible to work on campus only. That means you cannot get a job off campus, generally. Obviously, our co-op is the exception to this. Co-op falls under CPT, so it's not considered necessarily the same as the type of employment as what you would have if you were working on campus while pursuing your master's program. If you are an international student who will be joining the university as a PhD student, it's much harder to get a job on campus because of the way that your award is listed and how you are entering on the F1 visa. So you should be sure to work with the Office of Global Services and your academic advisor, your PI, if you are interested in working but you are a PhD student. Master's students can begin looking on the student employment website as soon as you have access to it. This is generally about 2 weeks before the semester starts. So if you don't yet have access to the student employment website, please don't worry. They are working to get all students access that will be entering in the fall. And the jobs are continually listed throughout the semester as new opportunities arise, and you can submit an application up to 20 jobs. One thing that's important to note is that you should make sure that your resume and your cover letter are up to date before you begin your job search. And once you submit your application, know that you, along with hundreds of other students, are likely applying for this position, and that you should just remain patient and see if you are given an interview for the employment. Oftentimes, they will not send a follow-up if you are not selected for the position, but that's okay. There's always other opportunities on campus, so don't get discouraged if you aren't offered an interview for your first few jobs that you apply to. And regarding your I-9, you will only need to apply for your I-9 once you are offered a position on campus. And with your employment, you'll be able to file for a social security number and complete the I-9 process. And this is something that will be addressed in the Office of Global Services orientation that they will have when you come to campus. If you are a domestic student, you can also file for an I-9. And of course, you'll likely already have your social security number and everything else that you need to begin your on-campus employment. If you have questions on your biographical information as listed on your MyNortheastern account, such as your address, your phone number, your secondary email, please contact the Information Technology Services team. That's IS&T at Northeastern, and you can reach them by emailing help@northeastern.edu. Nivetha has just sent some guidance through the chat box about the steps that you should take to securing employment and then filing for your social security number and your I-9. Okay, well, thank you everyone so much for joining today. It was such a pleasure having an opportunity to speak with our panelists, with our current students that are enrolled in the programs, with the student services team members, and to have other members of the admissions staff in the room today. If you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to contact your student services advisor or a current student ambassador. And again, you can contact the student ambassadors by emailing coeambassadors@listserv.neu.edu. We invite you to stay connected with your current student ambassadors by joining our Admitted Students Facebook group, Weibo, WeChat, and the WhatsApp groups. Thank you so much, everyone, and we look forward to welcoming you to Northeastern in the fall. Have a good morning for those joining us in the West Hemisphere, and for those in the Eastern Hemisphere, a good evening.